Okay, General Tape is rolling now. If we can just begin, we usually just kind of get a little bit of an overall security update, and it's been a couple of weeks since we spoke with anybody. If you could just kind of take us through the South and the East particularly, and just kind of give us an update on what you folks have seen in terms of security conditions the last few weeks.
Sure. Well, as you know, I mean, we've been doing some operations down in South in the Qandahar province for the last little while, for the last couple of months. Those are continuing, and we're seeing some progress there. Things are happening. I could tell you in Helmand that progress is happening there as well. In fact, I mean, if you look at Marja right now, they had a high school open up for the first time in 6 years. Freedom of movement around the city or around the town has been increased. They have a couple of other schools that are be opening up now that Eid is over, and just a police station that is opened, and they're actually recruiting policemen, AMP, right from Marja area. So we're actually seeing some progress in the south.
We saw a report this morning about a major operation beginning west of Qandahar with ISAF and the Afghan forces. Anything you can tell us about that in particular?
Well, that's part of the offensive that is taking part in Qandahar. It's a series of operations to rid the area of the Taliban, to seize control of the area so that the ANSF can provide sort of a holding function to keep the area safe for the people that live there, and eventually so that the governance and development structures can be put in place, and that the whole Qandahar area can go into I guess like the rest of the country, hopefully sort of see progress and start living with better freedom of movement and markets and commerce and all that other good stuff that we expect everywhere else.
General, do you now have the full complement of the extra American troops in place and some of the other ones from the other NATO nations?
Actually, yes, the plus up for the Americans is completed, and we're at 75% from the non-Americans.
With having them all in place now, can you characterize how things will be different, what extra capability that gives you, and what kind of progress you might expect to see in the South as a direct result of having that plus up now done?
Well, you're looking at, twice the number of ISAF soldiers, twice the number of the ANSF working hand in hand, shoulder to shoulder, as it were, in the Qandahar province in Regional Command Center South, and what they're doing is working in partnership to rid the area of the Taliban.
Can you give us any kind of idea? I'm sure you can't be too specific, but what level of insurgent activity you're still seeing, particularly in the South, or any kind of rough number on how many enemy fighters you all think are in the area?
Well, I can't actually give you numbers, but what I can tell you, that is a stronghold of the Taliban. It's Mullah Omar's area. In fact, that's where he came from. It's where the Taliban stronghold has been for a very long time. And with the increase of ANSF working in partnership with our ISAF coalition forces, I mean, they now have the ability to push out the Taliban.
Can you give us an idea, ma'am, of we've heard again a little bit about an increase in the number of IEDs that you folks are seeing. Can you give me an idea of what type of increase level you're seeing and how problematic that is?
Well, there's a couple of issues here, of course. The Taliban are indiscriminate when it comes to civilian casualties, and unfortunately they're indiscriminate because of the use of IEDs. I mean, they put IEDs in areas where civilians are going to work or going to school or just going about their daily lives. The IEDs, we've put in some stronger guidelines or some stronger efforts into the borders to reduce the amount of fertilizer that's coming in. We've seen some success there. We're extending that around the entire country. So IEDs have unfortunately grown in terms of their use, but we're having some very good success in ridding the IEDs. In fact, if you just look at last week in Malajat, which is just near Qandahar, the Afghan Border Patrol had an operation that they pretty well did unassisted by ISAF, where they rid the area of dozens and dozens of insurgents. But in so doing, they also found and destroyed over 140 IEDs. I mean, there's been some success there.
As you have successes like that, and as you have those guidelines in place, with that number still going up, what more can you do, or is there to be done to try to cut down on the number of IEDs that you actually see?
Well, certainly there's the guidelines at the border. There's some processes, counter IED processes that are in place here in Afghanistan, and we are finding a lot of the IEDs prior to them, indiscriminately killing people. So there is again some success there, and we do have a long way to go.